Going in the national season, we have a lot of different decks to choose from. I feel like the meta is probably the most open it's ever been. But in today's video, we're going to be going over one of my picks for yellow going into 2024-2025 Nationals. Now, before we get started, I will go over a little bit of the yellow kind of state currently in Dragon Ball Masters, and yellow is not in the greatest of spots. However, they do have some very, very good decks that you can choose from. Of course, number one is going to be Nova. That's the deck that's sort of been the top of the meta since it was kind of shown off how to play at Gen Con last year. And that's really been the deck that people have been going with and grinding. And with the changes to Kid Ku, Nova got a little bit better. But now with Vegeta, different form of red aggro, I think Nova gets a little bit worse. Not tremendously. I think it's still probably one of the best decks to play, but it's probably maybe a slight notch lower than where it actually was. Couple this with, you still have, the generic yellow U7 deck, which is still very competitive. Probably has a slightly better matchup into Vegeta than Nova does. Depending with all the, the cards you can tap down, you have barrier blockers. Like there's a lot of stuff that the deck actually does, but sort of lacks kill pressure on the at the end of the game, unless you have your secret rare and you have the burn effect. Then really, yellow's not really existent other than those two decks, but now we have two new decks that came out in the new set. One I find to be very good and sort of a surprise pick, while the other one I don't seem to be that good, which is Broly. I just don't find Broly to be that great. I know people did not like that opinion that I have on my tier list, but that's fine. I don't care. So if the deck does well, the deck does well, and then I can sell all the SPRs that I have for the deck. If the deck doesn't do well, then you know what? I mean, I'm not gonna say I told you so, but it's it's a win-win for me regardless. So I really don't care. Frieza, to me, Shining Pride, I think is a very strong deck, and something that definitely should be looked at as sort of a dark horse going into the Nationals format. Now, Shining Pride is a new Frieza clan deck that we have to couple it with the Frieza support we've had in the past. This deck actually seems to be decently viable, and I think it's really just going to take someone to prove to everybody that the deck is good. Or if you remember, everyone said that Nova was a bad deck, and then the deck ended up winning an event, and then everyone basically hopped on the Nova train, and then everyone was like, oh my god, Nova's the greatest deck in the world. I told you guys, it's fine. I also said Nova was bad. Like, I just, this deck is not playable. Why is it? And everyone's like, oh, this deck is so stupid, and now it's the best yellow deck in the game. So some people you can believe, some people you can't believe. So just kind of take your own opinion on stuff. So this deck here, you have two different effects on the unawakened side. You can take a life and then place a yellow Frieza clan from your deck in the drop, which is very good. There are some cards you want to put in your drop area, but also being able to just take a life on turn 1 or turn 0, as I call it, is very good. Helps you get to your awaken faster, but you have to be at 5 life. If you do get to attack first, you can search top 5 for a yellow Frieza clan, add it to your hand, and then on the awakened side, you discard a yellow card to draw 2, and then you can place a yellow Frieza clan from your battle area into the drop and play an 11 cost Frieza clan, which we do definitely play in the deck. So we'll start off with the one drops. We have the Flaunting Numbers. Both of them have counterplay effects. They're both very gimmicky, but they're very good defensively. And then Frieza is a cantrip. Metacooler is a top 5. Then we have Agony of Hell, which is one of the cards you basically just put into your drop area. Unless you play it against like Shrimp and Salsa, you'll always have access to this card because you can replay it off of another card in the deck. But this card adds any Frieza card back from your drop area to your hand, which if you play the Frieza secret rare, I believe I think it's a Frieza, you'd be able to add it back from the drop area if you are playing against like Mill and they mill your secret rare. We have the transformation cards. So we have 2 of the cooler, 3 of the uncontrollable, and then 3 of the grotesque. These are your one drop mid game value plays. So this transformation, apex, and grotesque transformation can only be played on turn 3. So this, you need 3 energy, you draw a card, and then you rest mode one of your opponent's battle cards and negate their skills. Cooler, you play on turn 3. When this card attacks or activates blocker, you combo a yellow Frieza card from your hand with its skills negated and then draw a card. So you can technically draw, like, cycle 2 cards and get 2 Z energy off this card, or you can block, get a Z energy that way. And then the uncontrollable pops something and also draws a card. So these are kind of like your mid-range cards here. We don't need 4 of these each because, again, like, This you can play if your opponent has 2 energy. The rest of these you need 3 energy. So like on turn 3, like you might play one of these and you might not, you know, so it just kind of depends. But we have this card, Fearsome Transformation, which is probably a better turn 3 play in most matchups. Draws a card and then can pop a Saiyan on swing and rest mode it, and then restand if it was a Saiyan. So this is really good into the Vegeta matchup. This allows you to basically tap down their blockers that are not the barrier guy, and then also blow up a card, which is also very good. You just kill all of their red Saiyans so they can't replay them. The black ones really don't matter that much. But you can also rest mode those cards, you know what I mean? So like you have some very, very good value with this card. I would probably even say maybe run 4 of this card potentially as well. I think this card is going to impact Nationals a lot because it's also just generic and can be played in any yellow deck. So you actually don't need a Frieza Clan leader to play this card. We have 4 Robotic Repose because it is searchable. And just a solid negate still. Of course, it's not great in this meta because of Koitsukai, but you still have to play it. I mean, it's still just a hard negate that's searchable, so why would you not play it? We also play Spirit Clash here, which is a very awesome little barrier removal tech that you have in the deck. So it's searchable. You can play it from your Z Energy by putting a Saiyan or a Frieza army from your board into your Z Energy and then play this card out from the Z Energy, which then after you do that, you then pop a card ignoring barrier and rest mode and then also draw a card. Then you can remove this card from the game if you have 3 more energy and then play out a 2-drop Son Goku or Frieza from your hand or your drop, which allows us to play out either one of the 1-drop here, but also allows us to play out this card from the drop. So like you can play the 5-drop, pop something, swing, remove this, play this in active mode. This then can grab any of your Frieza cards that we have in the deck, and then you also have a free 5k combo on board. So very, very good value. For Bardock's, I know this card's not searchable, but you still play it. Like, why not? Like it's still one of your best floodgates next to Nimbus, and this allows you to kind of turn the tide in a lot of your aggro matchups. Now, even though you don't Z charge a ton early, it's still something you want to play. Again, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't play this card. You're gonna combo. You have a lot of ways of free comboing as well, and again, you just need 2 Z energy, and then this card's set. So you still play it. Don't not play this card. We run 4 Frost. Took some advice. I think this is probably the better super combo just because it's searchable, right? Like that's a really good thing. 10k is really good. You also can put this card back underneath your field spell. Use the extra, which most of your cards, as you can see, put a Frieza Clan from the drop underneath, and this is indeed a Frieza Clan. So you can put that card underneath. Now for my favorite part of the deck, which is Mercenary Tau. And this is why I think this deck actually has some legs. So Mercenary Tau, activate battle. You need 2 energy. You combo a 1-cost original card from your hand with the skills negated. You draw the card, play this card, he has barrier for the turn, and he's already a blocker. Then, if this card's in battle, you can activate battle and pop a card in battle with this card, ignoring barrier. So if your opponent swings at you, let's say they swing with the 4-drop Goku, right? So they swing with the 4-drop Goku. You play this. You combo a 10k, which I'm going to show you in a second. Draw a card. This card gains barrier, which red already has trouble with dealing with anyways. Then if they attack with that 4-drop again, you block with this, and then you just blow it up. So like, even if like you play this and they combo a bunch of cards, you go, okay, activate battle, blow it up. So this card just ends turns. Now, also what's good about this card is that you can swing with this card, and in most red decks you have to block or attack with the UI Goku first, because as soon as you combo, that auto triggers. So if that card's in active mode, the auto still triggers and it fades. So you actually can't do the effect. So they actually have to block with it first, and then you just activate battle and blow it up, right? So like you have a really easy barrier removal for 1 energy that also cycles the card, right? Also gives you 10k combo. Now, how do we get 10k combo? Well, we have all these cards in the deck, right? Sure, these cards are great to play. You can max out on these cards if you want, running less of this stuff if you would like to. I don't care. I just wanted to kind of show you the options that you have. So Wickedest Clans, these are the 11 costs. So these cards can be played for free. There are some matchups like Broly or like Jiren or even Vegeta, technically, if they play the Unison build, which I don't think it's great. But this card will remove 2 markers and KO a card in rest mode. It also has a blocker. This card has offering, which will draw you 2 cards, or your opponent crits a life, and then this card gives your unison a marker. Double strike blocker, you can activate these cards and make them attack with the Z extra card. This card can also successor into itself and also draw a card. This card is a successor for 1 yellow. It's an energy cost of 6, so you can do it from Fearsome, Grotesque, or the Transformation Apex. When this card's played, you draw a card, and then this card gets 10k, so it's a 30k double striker for 1 energy that has Deflect. Also, it is a 10k. Also, all these cards are searchable. So as soon as you hit 2 energy, you have the ability of playing Tau, and then comboing one of these for free, drawing a card, getting a freezy energy, and then playing a blocker that's almost unremovable on turn 2. Yeah, I don't see how that can be bad. We have 3 of the Golden Frieza. This is your board wipe. Kills everything in rest mode, and then also plays a 1-drop Frieza Clan, which will just be these 2 cards here. Then he costs 2. He's a 5k combo. This card's really good. If you get into a long-winded game with a red deck, you just play this, board wipe them. Green, board wipe them. Like, you have a very good target. And he's double strike. Like, this is just a really solid card. And he's a 10k, so he's getting out of. He's a 30k, so he's a 30k 10 cost. So he's getting out of basically everything other than like defeating the demon. Right, that's really the only thing that's going to hit this card. One of the Multiple Awakenings Goku from the U7 deck. Again, we can just decharge, and then we have an extra boss monster later on in the game. He does stop you from playing anything other than U7s, but you can kind of maybe figure out how to play other cards that are U7 in the deck, and you can also make that work. But generally, you're playing this as like your last card. We have the Secret Rare, which I play Frieza, mainly because if we do play against a mill deck, we can grab this back with Agony of Hell. You can warp a bunch of cards on your opponent's board from the more energy that you tap, and then your opponent can't play battle cards in active mode basically until the end of their next turn. So anything they play after this card hits the board comes in rest mode, which is good. It's actually not great sometimes, because if your opponent plays like Defeating the Demon or something, this auto doesn't trigger, so like the auto will trigger, it'll go in the pending when Defeating the Demon's played, so that one will come in active mode. But anything they play after this, like they play like just some sort of like hard battle card negate, will come in rest mode, but then they restand at the beginning of the turn, so like they still have the effects. So that part kind of sucks. But this is probably like opponent has no board, you just play this on turn 4 or turn 3, pass, turn 4, turn 5, whatever, and it's almost guaranteeing you an extra turn. Unless you're playing against Jiren, then it just doesn't do anything. 3 Nimbus, 1 Cold Bloodlust, 1 Release from Evil, 2 Reinforcements, and then 2 Time Magic just to round out. We wanted to have a decent amount of extra cards in the deck for Mecha Frieza, and all of these sort of have a purpose. You have your Floodgate, you have your anti-whatever card that doesn't have Deflect. We have our Release from Evil, which is just another way of kind of locking something down. 2 Frieza Armies, and then 2 Time Magic. I think Frieza Army is okay in this deck because you go down to 5 when you awaken, so this at least gives you a way of being able to defend yourself and going down to 4. Z deck, so we have 1 of the Wickedest Clan. This allows you to you stack cards underneath, and then you can remove cards underneath to give make one of your 11 costs be able to attack. You also can remove this card from the game, tap 1 yellow, and then all of your 11 costs have 0 combo costs. So you can turn those 6 or 8 cards, depending on how many you run, into 10Ks, which is very good. 1 of the Mighty Blasts, just to have extra Z card. Rocket, I think, is really kind of mid in this deck, but I just put it in the deck just to fill space. Nightmare Encounter, we run 2 of. This allows you to play the 11 costs as well. Not great. Not a great card. There's some matchups where you can afford to play this card. There's some matchups where you just can't. So thankfully you don't have to play this card actually to do anything. You can just play the Z extra and be fine. You don't need this card. 1 Scheme Wish. This is for decks that play really big battle cards. So we have all of our small stuff, so our Mecha Frieza and then our 1-drops, where we can, in our Agony of Hell, where we can sack those off, basically give control of those cards to our opponent, and then we can steal one of their big cards. It's okay. Again, not great, but just extra viability in the Z deck. Yellow's Z deck is really awful. There's not a lot of good cards. Cell, this goes underneath the rocket if you decide to do it. Just basically floodgate your opponent. We have 1 Oolong, 1 Goku, just to give us some more board removal and a barrier crit, and then 1 Vegeta, which also gives us a barrier removal that's also dual attack crit. Z-Deck, so we have 1 release removal, 2 Vegetos for black matchups and green matchups, and anything that doesn't have the ability of countering this card, which would be red and yellow. So those 2 matchups, no, everything else you play this card in. 2 Cold Hearted for red, primarily red, but you also can play it in the yellow matchups too. 2 T-Blow for red, 4 yellow. You can play them in you can play them for Broly. You see most Broly decks are going to be playing the Bulma, regardless of what people say. Most people will be playing the Bulma combo. They play Bulma. This hits 3 costs, so you just hit the Bulma. They tap out, then you just kind of steamroll them. 2 Frost, it's a searchable anti-hand control card. So you just search this out, and then you can combo a card, combo this, pitch a card, put 3 cards back into your deck. It's just, like I said, just a little, just in case you run into mill. 2 Quaits, 2 Gohans for anti-hand control, and then 2 Mataidos for the big cards that have barriers, so like Solidarity, Fitted Rivals, if your opponent plays Cell on you. Well, actually, you probably wouldn't play this in the Faded Rivals because they can just pop this card. So like Vegito, Solidarity, those are like the big 2. But there's obviously every deck runs big battle cards, so you can just use it in any matchup. But that is the list. 58 cards. Again, some changes if you decide you want to run this combination. You can always fill more of these in here. You can like cut Cooler Transformation completely, and then run, like, you cut these 2, you like run one more of these, and then you get an extra one. So like you can always do that. That's completely up to you. I think this is pretty balanced. Kind of fulfills a lot of the costs of stuff in the game. I think it's a pretty good deck. Definitely something that people wouldn't be prepared for if you haven't already tested against it. So definitely give it a try. That's it. So thank you guys for watching. As always, like and subscribe to the channel if you guys do enjoy the content, and I will see you guys in the next video.